Another is peer teaching. Use it all the time. I am a strong believer that if the kid can teach it, they know it. And when they peer teach, especially when you have set up your classroom in such a way that you know your management, how do I word this? You've set it up in a way that they're able to kind of manage themselves, and you've carefully constructed your groups and the places that they're sitting, and you've carefully taught them how to do it. If they can articulate it, they know it. And aside from that, my biggest fear was individual work, because in a class of 30 students, by the time I got around to Gary over here, and he had done 20 of the questions wrong, then I was going to have to spend at least 40 or 60 questions trying to figure out how to get it back. And so when they peer teach, not only are they articulating it, but you are allowing for accountability between the partners. So it is individual work because they are teaching it, and they're teaching it individually, but you have somebody that's listening, and you have somebody that can catch an error if need be. So that's a strategy I use a lot. I usually get done about a month before our pacing calendar. And not because I rush through it, although we do things very quickly, but I am constantly making sure that I assess my students every single moment. So I know exactly, and that's part of getting to know them as individuals, but I can point anywhere in my classroom and tell you everybody's weaknesses, everybody's strengths. I know exactly when we master a standard so we can continue to move on. And I think sometimes if you're just doing that group approach like this is today's lesson, and this is tomorrow's lesson, and this is tomorrow's lesson, then you are going to get caught up in not having enough time. And also if that first teach is not successful, if you're not using strategies that are successful, and that comes with knowing your individual students. If you know your individual students, you don't have to deliver things 20 ways and just see what catches, you know? It's like throwing something in a wall and just see what catches. You're able to deliver it in several ways, but immediately so that every child can respond, and then you're not stuck on a lesson for 3 or 4 days, and you have plenty of time to do that. Also spiraling, that's what I've done every single year that I think at Mark Twain we adopted, that I think was one of the reasons my kids did really well, because too often we teach a lesson and we never go back to it. You teach it in September and they get tested in April, and they haven't seen that except you're trying to force it down their throat the week before the test. Every single day, half of my math lesson was actually a spiral of previous standards. So half was new, half was old. So by the time we got to testing, I wasn't trying to reteach stuff furiously and jam stuff down my kids' throats. They had practiced and repracticed those standards all year long. So I made sure that they maintained a mastery of those standards all the way